Number 5, tour of Tilly Foster Farm. This is a little unusual. I see a lot of new faces here, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for people just to have an overall view of what's going on at the farm. 10 years ago, we made some major decisions to put this farm on the map. At that point, you couldn't really drink the water, the septic system was failing. We had buildings that were actually to the point that they were dangerous. And I'm proud to say that the farm is in great shape today. So I guess I'll call it time to adjourn. We have a trolley out there. Adjourn is continuous recess. Thank you. I'll get it right. We have a trolley outside that can take us for a quick ride just around the farm for an overview. And then when we get back, okay, we can take a walk and look at the beautiful crops that we're growing in the back, or take a look at the school we have next door. The trolley holds about 18 people, so we might have to make 2 trips. Anyone wants to go on the first trip, we'll go outside now. So we'll probably spend about a half hour, and then we'll all meet back here and continue our meeting. Make the motion for recess.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, just a little housekeeping. I think everyone's aware the exits are behind you and in front of you. And to my left, your right, we have restrooms over here on the corner, just so everyone's aware where everything is. Okay, at this time, I'd like to do a presentation on the farm. If we could, we have John Tully here, who will bring us through this.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the legislature. I just wanted to start by saying thank you very much for entertaining us this evening and hosting your committee meeting here. We know there was a tremendous effort in doing so to accommodate us and give us this opportunity to showcase through a presentation all of the things that Tilly Foster has to offer the community. There's half a dozen or so presenters that will follow me. I'll introduce the presenter that comes after me and so on through completion. If there's any questions throughout the presentation, we'll follow your lead, Chairman O'Mano, and we'll tackle all questions at the end. Might be the easiest thing for us, if that's okay.
Yes.
So with that, and again, on behalf of the administration, Tommy Fury is here, County Executive Odell, we greatly appreciate this opportunity tonight. And I'd like to start with just giving a little bit of a background on the history of Tilly Foster Farm. And in doing so, I'll tell you the mission statement that we follow today here, and that the administration and the legislature has supported over the last, at least 10 years, is that Tilly Foster Farm is a Putnam County-owned property and a facility that fosters financial, environmental, social, and historical stewardship through a variety of program offerings by means of public-private partnerships. The farm is currently, that what we acquired in 2002 is 199 acres. Recently, the legislature is working on an acquisition of property that will add to that, and a substantial piece of property along Simpson Road that's contiguous. Originally used as a dairy farm and then used for horse breeding. Like I said, it was purchased in 2002. We purchased it in cooperation with the then legislature and the DEP and all of the entities that can object to the use of the East of Hudson water quality funds, which included every town in Putnam County and beyond. We're in favor of using East of Hudson water quality funds for the acquisition of Tilly Foster Farm in order to preserve the land. Using these funds, the county we also executed a conservation easement with the Watershed Agricultural Council. We'll talk a little bit about that more in the presentation. In 2009, Putnam County entered into a lease agreement with a nonprofit entity to operate the farm as a museum with educational activities. Putnam County County assumed full day-to-day operations of Tilly Foster Farm on January 31st, 2014. So there's been a number of different avenues that we've approached. But the mechanism, and here's just some pictures of Tilly Foster before and after, or then and now, that you can see. And we have plenty of more, and hopefully the tour highlighted some of these areas, and you got to see some of the things that we'll be talking about during this presentation. So in order to come up with the mission statement that I first read, the county executive's office listened to the public, and the mechanism for listening to the public was forming committees that touched on agriculture, health and education, business, economic development, soil and water, infrastructure, and tourism. All of these committees were supported by the public, your residents. They made up the committee, and the results of that was the mission statement that we entered, and that's what we've been living by since 2014. There's still, we dealt with a number of challenges. The increases in the footprint of the buildings that you see in this primary area. That's called the municipal acceptable development area. We're limited to what we can do in that area. The septic system, as Chairman Albano mentioned briefly earlier, was in a state of disrepair. You couldn't really do much in any of the facilities. They weren't habitable. The buildings required extensive repairs, as the board is well aware, and have supported the protection of all of the assets by making the improvements into the roofs and the infrastructure around here. The restrictions with the Watershed Agricultural Council are related to the creation of impervious surfaces, compliance with area designations, some of which I mentioned, and this is a really good segue into our next presenter. Chris Ruthman, who, he's our farmer. Chris, I joke with him, but, he left farm country in upstate New York and came to Putnam County, and he could probably tell you a story better than I can. When he found out that we bought a farm, he didn't know what he was in for, but Chris, I'd like you to continue the presentation and touch on those topics. Thanks.
Thank you, John. So John touched briefly on the Watershed Ag Council, or WAC, as we refer to it. They refer to themselves because it's been a big part of our development of the farm. The easement on the farm has restricted us on what we can do and where we can do it. I heard County Executive Odell refer to the different zones on the farm recently as kind of like a zoning for a town, where it's broken into different places where you're allowed to do different activities. So I think it's important that we talk about WAC, because there's been a lot of misconception about WAC. Now this picture here shows the different zones: ACEA, MADA, ADA, RPA, and they all have different restrictions on what you can do. But their mission is to promote the economic viability of agricultural and forestry, and protection of water quality, and the conservation of working landscapes through strong local leadership and sustainable public-private partnerships. And that's truly been what our goal is on the farm also. And we've worked very well with WAC, with their easement committee and their employees that have come to the farm on many occasions to help us with different projects. So one of the things we did right off the bat is came up with the best management practices for Tilly Foster, including nutrient management, and they still come up and do soil samples on our vegetable and hay fields. They did one in the spring for us. And manure composting with our bio-retention pond. They helped design our manure compost pad down below, which we just went by with a tour. They also helped us with planting riparian buffers around our retention ponds and our streams. That's my daughter when she was little. That's a Girl Scout troop. She's not little anymore. But they've been very involved in helping us promote the projects that they found important to protect water quality and soil health on the farm over the years. the picture down below, the big picture on the left, I'm sorry, was through their grant program. We received a grant from Watershed Ag Council last year through their Trees for Trips program, and they came out with their staff and planted trees around our retention ponds. And they installed rotational grazing across the street with fencing and solar-powered water system. They had a well drilled, put solar panels up, and the water systems are all solar across the street. All these projects and they also approved water quality projects such as new septic systems, culvert replacements, our big pond project, which you can see in the picture on the left, and bioretention ponds for stormwater runoff. Another partner of ours was the Soil and Water Conservation District, and some of those projects were help funded through our Soil and Water Conservation District. The community gardens across the street is part of our recreational opportunities that we have on the farm. Also, we have hiking trails. They use them for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. We have sledding in the summertime, and we have fishing. Now, one of our biggest and one of my favorite projects that we did was the renovation of the pond. When we took the farm back over, the pond was completely dry, it was drained out, and we had a company come in and dredge it out. We put in fish habitat, and we stocked it with fish. And that's my son last summer. He caught a nice one. That's after 3 years. That's how big those fish got already. So we're doing good down there. So, in conclusion, I think that we've been very good stewards of the land. We've had great partners with WAC, with the Soil and Water, with East of Hudson, which has helped fund some of our runoff swales, and with Cornell Cooperative Extension, which is always here to help and guide us with any of our questions we have. We're achieving our goal of protecting the land. We're using the best farm practices to protect and enrich the soil, and we're using water conservation techniques to protect the watershed. This is a showcase for the different techniques and a model for other property owners, and we hope that we can get people to come up and appreciate everything that we've done to help preserve and conserve the quality of Tilly Foster Farm. Thank you. Next we have Lisa come up, and she's going to discuss the farming practices on the farm.
Any day you come up here, almost every day, you see Lisa walk around here, early in the morning, late at night, doing a tremendous job. If you look at the crops in the back, they're a lot different than many of the things that you see at the store. They're really quality products are just spectacular.
Thank you. Tilly Foster is and always will be a farm first. As you can see in our pictures here, some of our crops, our children on the hay wagon, some of our little helpers, our chickens, cleaning up some of our vegetable fields when they were younger. Tilly Foster Farm is a destination. It provides enjoyable experience as well as an education for visitors. We sustain best practices here for regenerative, sustainable agriculture. We provide vegetables for Tilly's Table, OSR, which is our Office for Senior Resources, and our BOCES Culinary Program, as well as some treats for our animals here at the farm. We are here to help our farming community, not compete with them. In 2018, we grew over 35 varieties of vegetables here on the farm. We worth $15,000 of produce went to Tilly's Table and OSR in that season. In 2019, we installed a greenhouse here on the farm. We also doubled our vegetable production. We partnered with BOCES and animal care programs to start incorporating them and their curriculum into hands-on learning. The students from Culinary had the ability to come up to the greenhouse, start their seedlings, plant their seeds, watch them grow, be able to harvest them and bring them back to the classroom and prepare dishes for them. Our animal care program as well enjoyed the garden as well as our animals. They were able to see how the pollination began, seeing different types of birds as well as our butterflies and bees and things like that. They are hands-on with all of our animals here on Tilly Foster. Most of their day is spent outdoors with our animals, learning their health, their husbandry, as well as their veterinary care, their grooming. It helps them have the ability to be able to move on and find future work here in different areas as far as vegetation, agriculture, and animal care. We added 2 Percheron horses. Why did we add the horses? The public wanted the horses back. As you heard of the subcommittees, why did we add animals? The public wanted them back. We selected different types of animals here that would interact well with our public as well as our students and have the least impact on our farm financially and environmentally. In 2020, we all faced a big challenge, a global pandemic. We closed the farm for a short period of time until we were able to get clearance from our veterinarian that allowed us to reopen with the assurance that our animals could have contact with the public. Tilly Foster Farm became a destination in 2020. People were looking for things to do. Travel was limited. Things were shut down. Our farm reopened. It gave people an opportunity to come out and social distance and enjoy life the way it used to be. Social distancing became the norm. Here on the farm, they were able to do that. They were able to bring their children out in a safe environment. Some of our pictures of our little friends that come to visit. In 2021, we expanded the garden to 2.5 acres. We added some Kathy Campbell ducks. We began partnering with BOCES, as you heard me before, really hands-on. Students were coming up regularly into the greenhouse, coming up to help harvest as well as weed. That wasn't their favorite, but they did weed. We partnered with Cornell in 2021. Their apiary program that they have, we brought our bees onto the farm. This helped improve our production to our vegetables by having these special pollinators here on the farm. We also partnered with Cornell with Families Growing Together. We opened up the garden to families and allowed them to come with their children to plant under the supervision of the master gardeners as well as myself here. So if families wanted to learn how to grow, they could do so under an education program. Our apiary program as well had different programs running up here on the farm to help people who wanted to keep bees on their personal property or farms. Farm stand open to the public. We opened the farm stand because of the amount of people that were coming to the farm and being able to walk through the gardens and seeing all the produce. They wanted to take something home. It was part of the farm experience. We partnered with the Swoop Farm and added 3 new pygmy baby goats, which some of you may have seen are silly goats out there. In 2022, farming production is at an all-time high. We continue the care of our beloved animals, our alpacas, our Nigerians, our dwarf goats, our kuni pigs, our ducks, our percherons, and we began working with an agronomist. An agronomist is someone who is a soil expert. Given soil samples, we see things in the garden looks beautiful. Now we went underground. We wanted to see what our soil was doing, how nutrient-dense our soil was. With working with the agronomist and spending a year volunteering his time, and I think Tom is in the audience still, maybe not. Tom is back there. He began sampling our soils and showing what nutrients our soil needed in order to produce great vegetation through different types of environments. All of us here in the Northeast are suffering a very bad drought. We here on Tilly Foster are suffering the same, as you see in some of the garden. By working with Tom, he helped us understand what our soil needed. So we began adding some calcium to our soil. We are an organic farm. We do not use pesticides here on the farm or artificial ingredients. So Tom was able to help us with special nutrients like calcium, like biochar, being able to sustain through the drought using different berries of this. We also added to Sardinian Donkeys, as you can see our miniature donkeys outside. That is our newest addition to the farm. You can see them and view them outside. If you've ever heard a donkey speak, they're very loud and entertaining. The kids get a kick out of them. Working with them, as well as studying different types of behaviors. They're unlike horses. They are very stubborn. TILLY Foster has the potential to highlight and continue with agriculture as well as animal care. Having this new venture in 2022, working with an agronomist, it offers our local farmers an ability to sustain their farms as well as learn from us. We can provide education to our local farmers as well as our students, backyard gardeners. So where their local food is grown, how you get your food. Most children don't know where their food comes or can't identify the plant that the food is coming from. This gives students an opportunity to know where their food is coming from, and we are locally grown. So in conclusion, some of our animal friends here at TILLY's. I'd like to introduce Katie Hamhand.
Good evening. I'm Katie Hendricken. I'm the general manager of TILLY Foster. I oversee TILLY Foster's restaurant, TILLY's Table, and the event spaces. Here at TILLY's, we provide the community an opportunity to come together with their friends, family, and celebrate life's events through our food and entertainment. We offer a farm-to-table experience using the vegetables that Lisa puts so much hard work into, and we incorporate that into our daily specials. This week we've got tomatoes, peppers, beets, carrots, and spaghetti squash coming out. Those are all incorporated in the menu, so if anybody's hungry at the end of this meeting, we invite you over there. The restaurant is operated by home-style caterers, and they are opened Wednesday through Saturday for dinner, and then Sunday for brunch and dinner. Along with the restaurant, we have this beautiful event barn. We do weddings, parties, any kind of event that would merit a beautiful space like this. We do corporate meetings, and again, this is just, it's taken off with the decoration. People, they're looking for the rustic look. We've hit the nail. It's beautifully done. We have 22 weddings left for the season, the end of the year, and we are booked for weddings into 2024. When you drove up, even driving by, you see just a very picturesque scene. We offer a lot of different things to look at. There's a lot of things for different people. We have our restaurant, the barn, the outdoor settings, going out to see the animals while you're dining out on the deck. And it's just a perfect backdrop for anyone. We also offer outdoor concerts situated in the riding rink. We have our stage, and then we use the hill as a natural amphitheater. We're drawing visitors surrounding counties, but we're Connecticut, and we're also seeing people traveling up from Brooklyn, New York City, taking the train up to see some of these concerts. So we've got 2 more concerts. We're going to do one on Saturday. It's a Bon Jovi tribute band. And then we're going to finish up with the Oktoberfest with a Billy Joel tribute in September. Last year we had over 5,000 visitors for those events, and this year we're slated to surpass the 7,000 mark. So pray for our good weather. We need the rain, but not on those days. All right. In addition to our outdoor events, we hold family events, breakfast with Santa, the Easter brunch, Mother's Day, and then for a night out on the town, we do comedy shows for adults. And then here's some pictures. The property is so beautiful. We had people coming in for engagement photos for their wedding pictures. We had Carmel High School senior prom. The senior class decided to come up and they wanted to take those pre-prom pictures. So again, it comes into play. It's just so beautiful that they want to come and use the property. Here's some more. Tracy Walsh is going to come up, and she's the Director of Tourism.
Hello, everybody. I am Tracy Walsh, the Director of Tourism for Putnam County. And it has always been the belief of this administration that tourism and Tilly Foster Farm are a natural fit. In June of 2021, the Tourism Office relocated to Tilly Foster Farm. We were still settling in when a magazine rep for Hudson Valley Magazine and Valley Table paid a visit to the new office. The rep was in awe of the farm and felt that it perfectly represented the beauty of the Hudson Valley region. After a brief tour, the event barn, this space, was invited to host the Fall 2021 Hudson Valley Restaurant Week Kickoff. In collaboration with Homestyle Caterers and the Putnam County EDC, a successful, and I might add very delicious, kickoff took place that showcased purveyors of meat, cider, milk, produce, cheese, and much more. This space and the entire farm was full of all the best that the Hudson Valley has to offer. Other collaborative efforts up here include Putnam Grows, which was an agritourism and agribusiness summit. It was a collaborative effort between Cornell Cooperative Extension, Tourism, and the EDC. We host open house on the farm here at Tilly, which is a wonderful and fun collaborative effort with the Cornell Cooperative Extension. Kathleen Abels and myself also have hosted a Film Putnam Lunch and Learn, where we invited elected officials, town clerks, filmmakers who already live in the county, and some others over to have a working lunch to learn how to streamline the filmmaking process in Putnam County. The farm has been the setting for commercials and is often visited by location scouts looking for a place to shoot parts of movies and TV shows. The farm is now also actively taking part in Path Through History weekends. That is an I Love New York initiative showcasing history and tourism throughout New York State. So we've got a lot going on here. I'm going to click through all of these here. Okay. Families come, and Lisa talked about this, really 2020 started a real influx of families. They had come before, but in 2020, you know, parents of young children needed a place to go and to be outside. So families come to the farm, and what do they do here? They enjoy nature. They spend time with our farm animals. They take pictures. They stroll the grounds. They fish. They shop now over at Jarworthy. They picnic. And they just unplug, except for the obligatory Instagram post. For the third consecutive year, Tilly Foster Farm has hosted Collaborative Concepts Outdoor Sculpture Exhibit. As you drove in tonight, you may have noticed that some of the pieces are being installed. The exhibit officially runs from Labor Day through Halloween and attracts folks from all over the Hudson Valley to the farm. These folks often stay to eat at Tilly's Table or other nearby restaurants. This exhibit is family friendly and gives families the opportunity to explore outdoor art together in an environment that children love. I invite you all to come once the show is up and running to take a self-guided walking tour. Our small farm stand is on the honor system. The stand is part of the farm experience. It gives folks a chance to taste the vegetables that grow on site. And Lisa talked about this, but that's no small thing. You know, you watch the kids, are these the tomatoes that I saw over there? And the parents look around and they don't eat this stuff. You know, but when they see it growing and they see it here, they do and they enjoy it. Jarworthy, since it's been open, draws more people to the farm and provides a place to purchase the delicious Tilly Foster honey and to purchase artisan goods created locally and throughout the Hudson Valley. The Jarworthy Farmhouse Fest, held at the end of July, was so successful that another is being planned for the fall. The farm has also had the distinct privilege of hosting the Putnam County Culture Festival for the last 2 years. This new and important festival is an inclusive celebration that aims to promote the rich diversity and culture in the county. The event is a great opportunity for people of all cultures to come together for a day of great food, kids' activities, vendors, and performances. I would like to take this time to publicly thank the board members of CPAB for their hard work and dedication to bringing this festival to us. So why is agritourism important? I'll tell you why. It has the ability to put a small town or a small county like Putnam on the map. Visitors come, they fill up their gas tank, they do a little shopping, they dine. A farm agritourism experience provides an excellent opportunity for day trippers. And most importantly, research has shown that a tourist will travel up to 200 miles to visit a destination farm. 0 to 10 miles for a farm stand, up to 60 miles for a U-pick, but up to 200 miles for a destination farm. So we had to do a little work, a lot of work, but we took a look at the analytics. Last fall, we took out some digital advertising, and our target audience was families and couples interested in outdoor activities, shopping, dining, arts, and culture. For this side of the county, our geography was the 5 boroughs of New York City and the Connecticut counties of Hartford, New Haven, Litchfield, and Fairfield. We also ran a campaign in the spring, and the analytics are clear. From last fall to now, display marketing has increased over 50%. Email marketing has shown an increase in clicks over 9%. And in this era of constant scrolling, potential visitors are spending over 6 minutes reading about Putnam County. And that is a very, very impressive statistic. So I'm going to wrap it up now and introduce Catherine Balisteri from BOCES.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cathy Balisteri. I'm the Director of Career and Tech at P&W BOCES. Unfortunately, Lou couldn't be with us tonight. Thank you so much for providing us with the opportunity to share information about our wonderful partnership with Putnam County and with the regional-wide instructional programs that we provide for middle school students through adult students. Our BOCES serves 18 component school districts, 6 of which are here in Putnam County. We serve approximately 300 middle school students in our 20 different weekly summer camps, some of which we held during the month of July here at Tilly Foster. These camps give our students an opportunity to experience and explore different career pathways. During our school year, we serve 1,400 high school students in over 50 different programs. We also offer programs for adults, including literacy, continuing ed, and adult education programs. Here at Tilly Foster Farm, we've actually offered culinary programs in the evening for adults. Many years ago, we partnered with Putnam County to develop an educational institute here at Tilly Foster Farm. We were involved with helping to create a vision for providing instructional opportunities for students with special needs, whether those needs were behavioral or cognitive, and then also determine what do we need to do to make that happen. So we conducted extensive research around the region, looking at the employment needs and what opportunities would be available for students, the students that we were looking to best serve. We identified programs at Tilly Foster Farm for our students. So the first program that we decided to offer was the Culinary Program. This was our first program that would meet the regional need for food service employees in a wide variety of capacities, from food prep assistants for servers and more. With this program, we have a teacher and a teaching assistant to support our student success. We have a school counselor, a work-based learning coordinator, and a special ed coordinator to support the program. Enrollments for the Culinary Program at Tilly are capped at 8 to 10 students per session, since many of our students come with aids and need extra support. Those students obtain ServSafe certification and have the opportunity to participate in internships. We have numerous business and industry partnerships from Ace Indico, Second Chance Food, just to name a few. The opportunities for internships and for fostering relationships with business and industry is ideal here at Tilly Foster Farm, given the easy access to the Route 6 retail corridor and the shopping plaza at the top of the road. Our culinary program here at Tilly Foster is different from the one on our main campus. The goal for our students here at Tilly Foster Farm is to be well prepared for employment by gaining the skills needed for direct entry into a career. In the classroom, the students learn about foods, create menus, review recipes, and apply what they've learned in an actual setting. Our students have hosted a number of events here in the restaurant. We've had open house breakfast events, and luncheon events, and evening events. And the students have an opportunity to identify the appropriate food and beverage items for each of those different things. Our culinary students have prepared and served for many of your community-based organization events, including Access VR, the Putnam County Red Carpet, the regional school counselors, regional principals associations, and a numerous number of other groups. It's really important for those students to be able to have these experiences, to be able to better prepare them for the world of work. And what better place than here right in the kitchen at Tilly Foster. Let's see what else I have about this. Okay, so the programs are offered 3 sessions. So we have 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and 12 to 2. A little bit more about our culinary program, learning the skills necessary for the industry. Safety is key, sanitation standards. They follow those recipes to the T, and everybody is really pleased with what we have to offer. Let's see, the next one, some of the other things that they do there. So now we have our animal care program. Oh, just a word, our culinary teacher, Maria Roselli, is in the back of the room here supporting this. So the second CTE program that we offer at Tilly Foster Farm is our animal care program. Animal care is also a program for students with special needs. Students learn about animal safety, animal nutrition, animal behavior, animal welfare, animal rights and laws, and much, much more. Access to the farm animals is invaluable, and the resident expert on the animals, Lisa Walker, has been tremendous with our students. They have learned so much from her. She's truly a really vital part of the program. As part of the program, students will have the opportunity to earn pet CPR certification. There are tremendous opportunities for employment in the animal care industry. I bet if you show of hands, most of you have pets. right? So we need people to be filling jobs in pet stores, in grooming companies, in vet offices, and so on. Enrollments in the animal care program continue to grow. Positive feedback and accolades from parents and districts has been absolutely extraordinary. You should see the comments that we get from people, and most of the students coming are your Putnam County residents. So, in Career and Tech, we are always looking to the future to see what programs we should be offering to meet the employment needs of the region. We are actively involved with all the organizations that you can think of that are related to employment and training. Possible future programs for TILLY Foster that we really are researching and thinking how might we be able to extend our partnership with Putnam County to be able to offer those programs here on the campus. We've looked at horticulture, we've looked at clean energy. You know, we have partners that are getting into the world of geothermal and solar. We also are looking at things like tourism and entrepreneurship. What better way to partner with the wonderful divisions that are already here? Culinary, tourism, entrepreneurship, perfect fit, right? And then also we're really excited about being able to partner with Cornell Cooperative Extension. So many, many opportunities. So just a few more comments about our animal care program. And then I think we have a picture slideshow of the kids in the kitchen and kids on the farm. And thank you. So I will turn this over now to Stephanie.
Sorry about that. So good evening. I'd like to thank the legislature for their time this evening to present on Cornell Cooperative Extension and the connection to TILLY Foster Farm. Before I begin, I think a brief history of the extension system and what exactly Cornell Cooperative Extension does is in order. One of the questions that we get all the time from the general public is, so what is cooperative extension? What do they do? And so please just let me additive for a few moments to share. So cooperative extension derives its name from a combination of federal, state, and county funds structured to ensure that all people have access to their state university. A New York native, Dr. Seaman Knapp, born in 1833, is considered the founder of the Extension Service. He brought us the idea of teaching by demonstration and established the first demonstration farm in Texas. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Land Grant, or the Morrill Act, into law in 1862. The Land Grant Act provided funds for each state to establish one college with a heavy emphasis on agriculture, and the land grant mission focuses on 3 areas: teaching, research, and extension. Cornell University was chartered and designated as New York State's land grant university in 1865. So as you heard, Cornell Cooperative Extension has deep agricultural roots. And where better to be than at TILLY Foster Farm? In 1944, the Putnam County Association was established and started providing non-formal education and learning activities to people throughout the county, to farmers and rural communities, as well as to people living in more urban areas. It emphasizes taking knowledge gained through research and education and bringing it directly to the people to to create positive changes. My favorite tagline, actually, is that Extension provides practical information on practically everything. So here in Putnam, we have subject matter experts in the following 6 initiatives: community and economic vitality, protecting and enhancing the environment, sustainable agriculture, individual and community health, preparing youth for the future, and strengthening families. A program supporting every one of these initiatives has been implemented at Tilly Foster Farm in the past few years, including during COVID with our open house on the farm in October of 2020, where over 750 people and families came to the farm for an outdoor educational opportunity. In the past 44 months, while I've been the executive director at Cornell, we have utilized Tilly Foster's 199 acres for a myriad of experiential learning opportunities, including the Farm and Agri Business Summit, Master Gardener Plant Sale, Open House on the Farm, Grow the Rainbow, which was a nutrition and garden-based program offered at the community gardens across the way, our Junior Vet program, our well-received apiary program, which not only has assisted with pollination at the farm, it has increased productivity by 40%. The farm also provided the perfect backdrop while we hosted director Peter Nelson for a public showing of his movie, The Pollinators. Over 4,300 people ranging from Brooklyn to Utica, New Jersey, and even Ohio have come to learn with Cornell here at the farm. I'd be remiss if I didn't share some of the many institutions and departments that we work with on almost a daily basis. Columbia University. We've been working with the county and Columbia University on erecting a zero carbon footprint greenhouse for research and demonstration purposes. Of course, Cornell and several other land-grant universities like UConn, UVM, University of Wisconsin, and Purdue. And as you can see, a smattering of the different departments within Putnam County. Future projects and initiatives planned for Tilly Foster include the following, and I'd like to state that many of these projects are being discussed, vetted, and supported by county departments. The property down the hill by the pond is the perfect setting to plant a food forest. A hybrid food hub here at Tilly would allow other growers to sell their products to consumers who come to this destination. An incubator kitchen would allow culinary entrepreneurs to try out and perfect their recipes to sell in a food hub or market for larger audiences. Farmers could use it to establish value-added products made from their farm. The general public could pick their own product here at the farm and then participate in a food preservation workshop. Regenerative farming practices are being established and providing noticeable results. All of these and more are possible and further solidify why Cornell Cooperative Extension should be located here at Tilly Foster Farm. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Stephanie, and to all the presenters. Thank you for a fine job, Legislator Chairman Albano. I turn it over to you, and we'll address any questions. I would, however, be remiss if I just didn't say a quick thank you to Tom Lannon and the IT department for helping us with this presentation.
Thank you, and I'd like to second that. Thank you for the presentation that we had here today. The farm has been a tremendous work, very delicate to work with the WAC agreement, but you can see how many moving parts we have on the farm. It's tourist destination. It's a quality education site. And there's so much more potential here. The upgrades and things that we've done on the farm has allowed us to do this and do many things in the future. One thing I'd like to mention, this was a lot of work for all the legislators, the administration. We have two former legislators here, Barbara Scucciamara, Richard Othmer. They were very helpful with a lot of stuff on this farm, and they were very supportive. I want to thank them. I'd like to open it up to committee members, comments, questions.
You've done a wonderful job here. It's a great presentation.
Thank you again. You know, it's a team effort, and what you saw here this evening is just a small sample, actually quite a large sample of all of the participants that make Tilly Foster what it is today. And everyone really takes a lot of pride in what they do. They take it seriously, and they represent the residents of Putnam County tremendously in what they have to offer. So I think it's on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. And at the end of our meeting, or if you'd like to leave early, you could take a look at the props in the back, take a look at the restaurant next door. I don't know if the downstairs will be open, the kitchen where Bosie's is, but take a walk around, you'll really enjoy it. Any questions from the public? Anyone? Yes, if you'd like to come up to the podium, just your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Marcia Waldman from MAGAC. I have a couple of basic questions. One's really a comment that I wonder about all the exotic animals here. Personally, I would rather see sheep than llamas. And I think that it is important that our children know what kind of animals live on farms and what kind of plants and how farms work. And so I think it'd be important that it be local animals, not exotics. But another question that I have, and I think a lot of citizens have, is about the finances. You have a lot of businesses running here. The restaurants, the concerts, the weddings, the jar shop, whatever that is. And I know that the county has committed a lot of funds to creating all of this. And most of this is really wonderful. I'm not criticizing that. But I do wonder about how much money has the county spent, and what is the balance between the profits these businesses are making and what the county is sinking into it. Because it seems to me that the county should not be in the business of running concerts or running restaurants or running other shops. I think a lot of citizens question that and question this balance of the county is investing in all this, making it possible for these businesses to profit. How do those profits come back to the county? And I don't mean just in sales tax or something like that, because that's not a drop in the bucket to what it's cost to make this place happen.
Thank you. John, would you like to comment on that? And then I would like to.
Sure. Just briefly, you know, from the purchase price of Tilly Foster Farm and the protection of this land, which otherwise would have been a shopping center or a condominium complex that would have added to the tax burden and to the local schools, it was decided about with a number of people that it would be best to preserve the property and try to do something for the community. The finances related to that, you know, there was a point in time where there was certainly a deficit in operating the farm before the major investments were supported, and we were able to do all these things that were presented today. The return on your investment in government is often looked at through a narrow lens of just the dollars. When you see the presentation that was here today, I would say the value that Tilly Foster has is generational, and the return on your investment is your kids, your community, and what it means to growing Putnam County and Putnam County on the map. That would be my ad-lib response. I know legislative and administrative concerns around finances are always at the forefront. So we try to do things on a shoestring, and working with this committee, we've been able to make the dollars that have been invested go much further than you might imagine. And so the presenters that were here before me are not-for-profit organizations that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity without a significant investment of your tax dollars coming from somewhere else. Putnam County stepped up and partnered with OC's Cooperative Extension and used the resources that were available to us to try to do the best we can to give back to the community this beautiful piece of property.
Thank you, John. That was well said. You know, I'm a businessman, and so I look at the numbers and I look at the math. The options we have here at the farm is one option is to give it back to New York City for $1, and they can take it over. The other option is let it turn into woods and never touch it. When I looked at the farm a few years ago, George Whipple was here trying to make something happen. And it was very difficult because you had a septic that didn't work, you had water that wasn't drinkable, and you had buildings that were probably dangerous. We made a conscious decision to evaluate what needed to be done to let this property be used for its fullest potential. And again, the non-for-profits. We've always had in the back of our minds that the community deserves something like this. And we're able to do that. But keep in mind, from 12 years ago when I first arrived here, the county's debt is probably $30 million less than when I got here. So math is an important figure. It's an important topic that we look at every day. The money that the farm generates helps offset the costs. And we're in a much better position today. A few years ago I looked at it and I was amazed to see how much the farm was costing when we really couldn't use it. It was sad. There was a lot of money going out, doing maintenance and doing different things that needed to be done, and it really wasn't usable for the public. So again, there's a math formula here, and I think it's a math formula that works very well. Other counties do it, and I think we did it better than most, so I'm very proud of it. And again, I'll open up for any other questions. Yes, Legislator Jonke, and then I'll get to Legislator. Yeah.
Yeah. Tilly Foster Farm is in my district. To look at what just happens on the farm is also a narrow way to look at it. The businesses that surround Tilly Foster benefit when we draw a concert. We bring people in from Connecticut, Westchester, Dutchess County, Orange County. We're bringing people in. They're discovering the Red Rooster. They're discovering other restaurants. They're pumping gas in our stations. That's sales tax revenue. So to look at just what happens here is kind of a narrow lens. Tilly Foster in the town of Southeast is drawing people, which benefits the rest of our businesses and our taxpayers. So I'm glad it's here. I'm glad. I thank everybody who spoke. You know, it is a team effort. They're doing a wonderful job up here, and if you look around here and aren't proud of it, I don't understand it.
Legislator Montgomery.
Thank you, and thank you to all the presenters. It was a beautifully produced presentation. The barn looks great. I think my favorite part, sorry Marcia, are the imported Sardinian donkeys from Phillipstown. But I think the basic question is still, and it's one that I've been asking for almost 4 years now, certainly the return on investment is obvious to those who want to see this, want to see their government doing this, and that's obvious. But the basic question, to your point, Chairman Albano, is the numbers. And I've been asking for the numbers for 4 years, and just, you know, channeling it down to basic numbers, unanswered memos, like basically what happened to the Percheron horses that we first have, what was the expense in transporting them out of here, what were the vet bills when we had to remove them and get new horses. So it's beautiful, but the basic purpose of government in my job is to know exactly what those numbers are. And I still have yet to get those answers of the dollars and cents that you so spoke about as a business person, Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, anyone else, any other comments? Sure. If you'd like to step up to the podium, just your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Allison Benkera. I'm actually not from Putnam County, I'm from Westchester County. And my son is 18 years old. He has autism. He attends the BOCES program, the Culinary Program, and he recently got an internship over at Second Chance Foods. I just wanted everybody to know that, you know, due to the farm and the BOCES program, my son has an opportunity for a career, and it gives him purpose every day. And I'm really appreciative and thank you for this.